I extend to all the participants to the fifth day of a faculty development program organized by Bharat Vidya Prayojana, a division of IGNCA under the Ministry of Culture in collaboration with NSS College Pandalam and Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth Kerala. So today we have with us an erudite scholar as a resource person, and it is indeed my privilege to welcome our esteemed resource person for today's session, Dr. K Unnikrishnan, former head of the department and former principal of NSS College Pandalam, and a seasoned educator with 32 years of teaching experience in English language and literature. He specializes in curriculum development in English studies, Indian knowledge systems, and Gandhian thought, and so has significantly contributed in the promotion of heritage handicraft in Kerala. He is currently a member of NACTIA team, and so we'll be talking on the topic ethical considerations and pedagogical aspects in handling and utilizing traditional knowledge. Thank you, sir, for your kind gesture to be a part of this program and for giving us all the guidance throughout this program. We are so grateful to you for the same, and we are all ears for you. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good evening to all of you. It's a privilege to speak about IKS in this prestigious platform. I am trying to share with you certain ideas relating to the ways in which traditional knowledge can be applied in classrooms. In a sense, I am speaking about applied IKS and also the justification of integrating IKS into the curriculum, largely from the ethical point of view. Let me first distinguish between the two terms IKS and traditional knowledge. Traditional knowledge is an umbrella term covering the intangible culture of the nation as a whole, while IKS is all about the system, a sophisticated and clear output of a careful study and analysis. So therefore, IKS is to be introduced into the academics, not traditional knowledge. Traditional knowledge is basically the source for which IKS is, from which IKS is derived. So this difference is there. So I will also be using these terms interchangeably, traditional knowledge and IKS. But in fact, to be in the strict sense of the term, IKS is for academicians and traditional knowledge is for the common man. It is all about knowledge and also the various different practices in the country. So I will be trying to confine myself to IKS. I will also be speaking about theoretical IKS also, and how it can contribute to national development and also global coexistence. The term IKS refers to all disciplines of traditional knowledge in India, in the subcontinent of India, developed to a high degree of sophistication. Remember, developed to a high degree of sophistication. It includes philosophy, architecture, maths, metallurgy, astronomy, Niti Shastra, linguistics, the poetics and the 64 kalas, or many other applied disciplines. And ethics, I'm coming to the term ethics. We are going to speak about the ethical dimensions in integrating IKS into the academy. So ethics in IKS conforms to the Indian term dharma. Dharma is the most efficient way of doing the right thing and living righteously. So then dharma stands for righteousness, obligation, and duty. The ethical perspective in Indian subcontinent is fundamentally cosmocentric. We have to be very clear about the perspective that we are following, India is following in approaching each and every problem in life. It is all based on a cosmocentric attitude, a cosmocentric perspective as against anthropocentric perspective in many other civilizations. So, and now I am coming to, and I'm going to present some 10-12 points regarding the justification for integrating and introducing IKS. So what is the IKS advantage? What exactly is the reason for the government of India and the NEP experts to introduce IKS into India, and what are the advantages, especially from the ethical point of view? So traditional knowledge in India and life largely in India is fundamentally ontological. See, I'm using the term ontology to refer to the inquiry of what exists in the world. Ontology is all about existence. And there is also another term which I will be frequently using, which is epistemology. Epistemology, as you all know, it asks how we can know about existence. So Indian life, Indian perspectives are fundamentally related to the ontological question, whether it is about dealing with the environment, whether it is about interpersonal relationships, whether it is about man-woman relationship, it is all related to the ontological question. And this ontological question is related to, as I said earlier, related to the cosmocentric perspective. And this ethical dimension, which is related to metaphysics, is it comes out of the structures given with existence. What I mean is this: the ethics or the sense of right and wrong in India is not based on a relation to a distant idea of God. It is not related to transcendence. Our idea of the right and the wrong is basically earthbound. It is basically related to the structures in which we encounter life. So, therefore, this ontological point of view, this ontological approach in India is a very distinctive part of the IKS system. So, with this, I'm saying this fundamentally to see that the perspective in India about a subject, whether it is environment or whether it is existence, is rooted on a very distinctive point of view, a very distinctive metaphysics. So now I will be sharing with you some of the practical advantages of introducing Indian knowledge system into the curriculum, whether it is in schools or in colleges. The first one is traditional knowledge. It promotes self-esteem for the learner because it is familiar to him, and therefore it leads to creativity in the classroom. And there in TKS, the learner's identity is acknowledged, and therefore he is an acceptable individual inside the classroom. The classroom culture will be congenial for the learner, and the classroom will definitely be providing him the development of the Anandamaya Kosha. See, the National Curriculum Framework 2023 is out. It is based on NEP recommendations. The major feature of the National Curriculum Framework 2023 is that it is based on the Panchakosha theory of development. The Panchakosha theory of development, it is basically about the 5 layers of the individual. The 5 layers of the individual are basically the physical structure, the physical level, the mental level, the energy level, the intellectual level, the ananda level. So these 5 layers are to be addressed in the curriculum for total individual development. So therefore, this learner identity as it is acknowledged in the classroom is definitely going to help the individual accept the classroom as part of his own. There is no alienation there. So then traditional knowledge, or you could even say IKS, is contextual and therefore it is relevant, leading to many aesthetic advantages. It is, for example, the use of Hindi Bharatiya languages will definitely be addressing his sensitivity, and it will be addressing the the aesthetic side of the learner. And again, traditional knowledge helps in learning to realize existential questions, as India is definitely a land where the Upanishadic search for truth is very much alive even today. So this search for truth, this tradition of the search for truth, the absolute truth, is therefore uh, addressed through the classrooms, through this familiar, culturally responsive classroom. And then it is relatable. The examples given in the classroom, if IKS is there, the examples given will be relatable. The subject will be a relatable one for the learner. And then IKS provides tested models in pedagogy. Tested models. One example is the Gurukula system. See, the Gurukula system, it is fundamentally transdisciplinary. The Gurukula system is based on the beautiful relationship between the teacher and the learner, the Guru and the Shishya. Therefore, it is time that we borrow that pattern and adapt that particular situation into the modern classrooms. That is one fundamental point of utilizing the traditional knowledge pattern into the modern system of education. Again, IKS or traditional knowledge system is relatable for the learner at the epistemological and ontological level. I have referred to what ontology means in the beginning. IKS promotes a scope for localization instead of globalization. So globalization is a term which is very popular nowadays. Globalizing the local. That is what globalization is all about. Definitely, yoga is now global. Actually, that practice, that health management practice, is actually a local Bharatiya strength. It is now global. So there are so many local practices which are now made global. So if you have that pride in the local will definitely become the global. One interesting example is even in a 5-star hotel, you find that there are see these cards which you find on the road. Tattukada model. It can be seen in the 5-star hotels. Another example of the local influencing the global. So IKS is basically another advantage is that IKS is basically a platform for introducing citizenship education. This is something which is lacking in our education system. Citizenship education is a primary component of any education system in any country, which unfortunately we have neglected so far. So citizenship education will help us to produce strong, psychologically strong patriotic citizens, and that will definitely be contributing to our national self-defense. Therefore, the classroom is the place where the national self-defense is made possible through the production of proud, patriotic citizens. So therefore, it is very important, even uh, from the defense point of view, the kind of psychological defense that you can cultivate among the students through the IKS programs will definitely be contributing to the nation at large. So, for example, you just take the case of the Vietnam War. America failed in Vietnam. How? It is all because of the strong and proud defense, the psychological defense of the Vietnamese citizens that defeated uh, America. So, Indian knowledge system, another very distinctive feature is that Indian knowledge system tolerates opposing viewpoints. We have all these darshanas. These darshanas include Lokayata also. The Lokayata system is also there. The Sankhya system is also there. So different points of view are accepted at the theoretical level and even at the practical level. So it helps for the coexistence of the world. Therefore, IKS will definitely be contributing to the coexistence of the world, especially in the contemporary times in a war-torn world. So Indian knowledge system includes definitely the classical tradition and the folk tradition. There is a misconception that IKS is all about Sanskrit and Sanskrit alone. Never. IKS is also about the folk tradition and the folk knowledge systems available. For example, recently the government of India conducted a survey about the herbs available in the forest, and the finding was that 700 herbs are mentioned in the Sanskrit classical texts, but six 6,000 more herbs were identified by the tribals in Indian forests. Just imagine, classical Sanskrit texts referred to 700 herbs, while 6,000 more herbs were identified by the tribals. So see the kind of a tribal knowledge base that we have, and that folk tradition is also part of our traditional knowledge system. But if it is documented properly, then as in the traditional digital library system, as we mentioned earlier, then it becomes part of IKS. Next. So there are three basic components of any culture. A culture is definitely is in the perspective of the people. It is also in the practice of the people, and it is also in the products of the people. Definitely. So IKS is based on the culture of the country, and the culture of the country is related to three P's: perspective, practice, and products. And you look at the Indian perspective, it is as I said earlier, the Indian perspective is fundamentally cosmocentric, consciousness based, and rooted in the soil. And about the practices in India, the outcomes of the IKS, outcomes of the Indian knowledge system. See, it is a karmic middle path, especially in the case of consumption. See, the way we consume natural products, the traditional way of managing the local resources available in the country, are you may call it as the middle path, the Buddhist middle path in consumption, and also in the attitudes towards knowledge, towards environmental management. It is all earthbound, and you can see that the soil conservation methods, for example, natural farming is typically the Indian way of agriculture. There is a see there is also the problem that when you are speaking about green revolution, but there is also the problem of the soil fertility being depleted every year because of the uncontrolled use of fertilizers. So there is something called violence of the green revolution happening in the country. So there is always a need for a rethinking about agricultural farming. Natural farming is an answer, and also the strongest practice in India, I would definitely say, strongest ethical practice in India is the family's institution. Family as an institution is perhaps the strongest body that provides this survival instinct. See, the relationship between the family members in India, it is still unbroken, and that contributes to the performance of the Indian next generation in the US. But remember, the Indian immigrants in the US, when after 20 years, when their next generation, when they perform, it would not be the same performance as that of their parents, because the performance, the excellence, the richness of the Indian immigrants in the US is all because of the support given by the family back here in India. So the family is the strongest institution in India, and this is basically an IKS practice, an ethical practice, which we should definitely be keeping in mind. So we should also think about the IKS products. IKS products in the sense, see, a mural painting is an IKS product, for example. A mural painting is an IKS product. The Warli painting in Maharashtra is an IKS product. And you should preserve water and you should preserve air because you need it. That is one attitude. You have to preserve water, you have to preserve air because the entire world, the animal world included, needs it. That is another attitude. So the second one is our attitude. So that is why there is the new term biologists will be knowing, deep ecology and shallow ecology. Shallow ecology is considering the selfish point of view, the anthropocentric point of view, and deep ecology is speaking about the cosmocentric point of view. You look at the world and you consider yourself as only part of the whole world. So that is those practices that approach to environment is another IKS product. For example, see the lullabies, the 64 kalas, the games that we play, the toys that we make, all these are distinctively IKS products, and these IKS products are fast disappearing. And instead of these IKS toys, now we are introducing imported digital toys into the children's world, which is going to have a very terrible consequences in the future. Anyway, now I am coming back to the pedagogical dimensions of IKS. How you can manage the classroom, how you can manage the school and the college through the IKS principle. We have already mentioned the Gurukula system and why a Bhartrihari is there, why a Panini is there, why that kind of excellence in the ancient Sanskrit texts. How did that happen? So the answer is, it is all because of the system, the Gurukula pattern, that institution. And fundamentally, it is the teacher-student relationship that helped the affective domain, and the development of the affective domain helped the cognitive domain. And therefore, the Gurukula system was transdisciplinary, and at the same time, it was helping the children, the students, the learner, to be learning-centered people, learning-centered. See, you will be speaking about teacher-centered approach, you will be speaking about child-centered approach. See, in the Gurukula system, it was learning-centered process that was happening. Learning was the point, not the guru, not even the shishya, but learning. That was the focus. So therefore, we have to borrow patterns from the Gurukula system when we are thinking about IKS introduction in pedagogical terms. And again, there are definitely, the question, can we reinvent these patterns? Definitely, we will be able to reinvent these patterns in a new form. Definitely, you just cannot have the ancient system of the guru and the shishya living together and all that. it is practically impossible. But at the same time, this relationship aspect is very important in the IKS domain, because this is an AI dominated world, and the world is going to be an AI dominated world. We have seen in the newspapers that there's an AI teacher in Trivandrum. So can the AI replace the teacher? That is a question. See, in terms of the IKS principles, these AI teachers can inform, but what is important is the relationship. There is the emotional component, the relationship. It matters. It matters most. Therefore, it's important that we consider the teacher-student relationship as the most important aspect of a pedagogical process. And now I'm coming to the next some of the problems that we are facing today in colleges, in higher education institutions. See, there is always this institutional neglect of IKS for the last 50 years. What is the reason behind this? There is so much of excellence, so much of reasoning, so much of brilliance in these ancient texts, in the indigenous knowledge systems, in the intangible culture. But we are not attending. We have not been attending to that. What is the reason? Because it is a product. This neglect is a product of the servile post-colonial attitude that showed indifference to indigenous knowledge systems. This indifference is considered a secular virtue by the academicians. That is the issue. This indifference is considered a virtue in the academic circles. But now NEP is trying to deconstruct that wrong notion, and that the colonial epistemology is going to disappear from the Indian academic world, and the kind of elitism that is in practice in India, elitism in the sense that the good colleges are there in the urban areas, the limited age, the good colleges are there, then the average colleges are there, the bad colleges are there. So there is a sort of elitism in practice in the running of education institutions and in the way people look at education institutions. And this elitism will go when there is the clustering of education institutions when the NEP is implemented. And again, the role of English language in research, in transactions, is another important question. And how do you, this question is there from the IKS point of view, how do you look at this? See, linguistic imperialism is there in practice during the time of colonialism. English was there. English replaced Sanskrit. English replaced all Bharatiya languages. And when the regional languages are no longer part of serious scientific analysis and inquiry, then it is going to have a very, very damaging blow to the community at large. So that happened in India. So we need the English language. It is time that we Indianize this English language. We introduce and take many Bharatiya languages into English language, and also you take English vocabulary also into Bharatiya languages. So this interchange is very important. So it is time that you stop adoring the English language, but just use this language as one of the tools of inquiry. That's all. So that is why NEP is recommending bilingual textbooks in schools as well as in colleges, so that the Bharatiya languages also will be coming up, and it will boost the morale of the learner, especially in the villages. And we all know that this happened because of the influence of the Bombay, Calcutta universities. See, even before independence, all these universities were there, so the curriculum was there, and the English people set those curriculum. And so we didn't get the time to think about our own requirements. Therefore, we easily borrowed and imitated the patterns of the Bombay University and the Calcutta University. So that was a historical accident, and that may be the reason why this Eurocentric uh, attitude in Indian academia. So fortunately, this is going to be removed completely and in and immediate. So it's a very happy situation. And I would like to mention two theories which are predominant in academic circles. One is the multiple intelligence theory, and the second one is the culturally responsive pedagogy theory. CRP, it is called CRP, and it is a very popular theory in America. So Gloria Ladson, I mean, a writer and a teacher in the US, she was addressing the problem of the African Americans in the US, and she was saying she could see that the African Americans were lagging behind in academics, and she was thinking about the reasons, and she found out that it is only through a culturally responsive teaching process, it is only through a culturally responsive classroom that these children could develop themselves. So basically, this CRP uh, and its values are developed uh, keeping in mind the plight of the African Americans. But we have to think about India. Just think about India. What's happening in Indian classrooms? In Indian classrooms with the English language, the Indian students are alienated, especially the students from the villages. They are alienated from the classroom. They are alienated from the discourses that is going on there. They are alienated from the kind of serious research, because research materials are all in English. So your inability to comprehend and use the English language will take you backward in India. This is the situation. So basically, this situation is similar to the situation of the African American students in India. In India, Indians are like African Americans. So therefore, this ERP is of great relevance when we are thinking about implementing uh, and reshaping the curriculum, because CRP, culturally responsive pedagogy, is basically using the cultural capital of the student. The cultural, you are addressing the cultural capital of the student. You are addressing and you are very sensitive to the learner's cultural background. You will be using the cultural reference. There are 7 tenets of CRP, and one fundamental thing is the teacher-student relationship, which we have already mentioned. So therefore that is very relevant in Indian context also. And the classroom will be a very inviting one and very enjoyable one for the learner. See, CRP is significant even at the undergraduate level classrooms, from school onwards to even to the undergraduate level. So here the identity of the student is respected. The student is regarded as a free individual. His family background is considered, his culture is considered. There is some sort of a fair treatment for each and everyone in the classroom. And this consideration of the family of the learner who is there in front of you in your classroom is a very important component in CRP. This is possible through the portfolio system of evaluation. NEP is referring to that. When in the portfolio in the school, I'm speaking about the schools. In the portfolio, you can definitely refer to the level of the parents, what is happening to the children when they are going back at home, what are they doing at home. So all these are referred and documented in the portfolio system of evaluation. That is why they call it the 360-degree evaluation system. So unless and until we change the evaluation system, there is no possibility of IKS integration into our curriculum. So NEP is basically rooted in India. It is this portfolio system will definitely help, and there is this multidisciplinarity, and also there is the clustering of schools which will reach to the level of equity that we are thinking about. So basically, NEP and National Curriculum Framework are all those suggestions are in tune with the Sustainable Development Goals pronounced by 162 countries many years back. There are 17 Sustainable Development Goals. SDG 4 speaks about education. So NEP is in tune with the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. So therefore, I am concluding. We will have a discussion, we hope. So what we need is a decolonized curriculum, where we need to train a culturally responsive teacher. We should have a culturally responsive discourse happening in the classroom and in the school. And citizenship education should definitely be a very important component in education. And this is possible only through accepting the identity of the learner. And this acceptance of the identity of the learner is possible only through the integration of Indian knowledge system into the curriculum. So thank you very much for your patient listening. I look forward to very active contribution from my colleagues here. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm Indian knowledge system, Kabil Kapoor. It's a
Dear participants, the floor is open for discussion. You may please ask any questions or queries or any suggestions you may have like to give to Dr. Unnikrishnan, sir. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Sridhar here.
yeah.
Namaste. So my question is, one of the fundamental expectations from our education is livelihood. So when we are talking about IKS, what is the extent of commercialization of IKS? So without that, okay, I may learn as an academic. Okay, it's exciting initially, but then what? As a student, why would I learn? Even if we are willing to teach.
Yeah.
So how do we fix that?
Okay. So it's a pragmatic, you are speaking about the pragmatic side of it. See,
yes,
yeah, definitely. See, this IKS will create students with confidence and self-esteem, and they will therefore be more creative, and that creativity will definitely result in brilliant products. Definitely. So that is definitely we are addressing through IKS. We are definitely addressing the personality part. That is what I am saying, because my topic is basically ethics. So I am speaking about ethical dimensions. That's right. Thank you.
Got it. Got it, sir. Thank you.
So good evening, sir. This is KC Misra from Arunachal Pradesh, Rajiv Gandhi University. So actually, you have brought in this NEP 2020 and also NCF 2023. You have also referred to the necessity to go decolonialized. the emphasis must be nationalistic, the approach must be nationalistic, and the learner's own interest and learner must be geared up to a level where he contributes to the development of India as a whole. You have also tried to highlight that everything so far over the last 75 odd years, we have been pursuing
Audio is not clear, sir.
education which has, and perhaps although you have not referred to it very clearly, somewhere you have found fault with the communist or this Marxist method of teaching and that Marxist methodology and epistemology. If I am somewhere, sir, because you have talked about the value of this Gurukul system and everything.
Yeah.
There is where do you, sir, really want to suggest and also stress that we should have a sufficiently enlightened break from this traditional Marxist-dominated approach? Is it, sir?
Yeah, it is. See, there are influences which are not nationalistic, both from the right and the left in the academics all over these years. That is a fact. But the problem is with not with. I would not blame the right or the left for the kind of situation that we are in. We ourselves are responsible. We have been very passive, and we also neglected the right and the left, and those who are the majority. We all neglected this traditional system of knowledge. That is a fact. So in fact, I would prefer not to blame anybody for this, and it is time that we look inside. I would like to say that there is a possibility that when you are saying IKS and when you are glorifying the achievements and all that, there is a possibility of falling into narcissism, which will not be good for any kind of serious research into IKS. We have to be open. There may be so many faults in the traditional knowledge systems, so many wrong notions and approaches. All these may be there. So as academicians, let us be very open and see what our fault is. I think introspection is better than Atma Vimarsh is better than trying to find fault with others. Both the right and the left, they were there to neglect.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And once again, sir, you have also referred to this teacher-centered and learner-centered approaches, and you have finally also said that neither of these two is to work. We should go learning-centered.
Yeah.
Because that if we go that way, then that learning and therefore education would lead us to true liberation. Because we think in terms of Savidya ya Vimuktai.
Yeah.
Education is that that brings us real freedom. And when we are really free, as you have pointed out in your own discourse, we ultimately tend to achieve that anand, because you have talked of Panchakosya Shiksha. So ultimate aim is there. This matter must evolve to a stage, or matter accessing the matter must lead us to a stage where we are able to access that anand. And therefore, do you, sir, like to suggest that our kind of education, this NEP 2020 formulated kind of educational approach that we are going to have, would that also lead to increase this happiness index that the whole world is thinking of today?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a very very optimistic expectation, but it will happen provided we teachers, we the community take it up seriously. See, without a very strong and sincere, earnest involvement in these principles, the NEP may not reach out to the people. It all depends on, let us see for the next 1 or 2 years.
Yes, sir, because you have rightly pointed out that there was a time when everything in the system started leaving us alienated. And now you are thinking that we must be involved. And if that involvement is there, self-appreciation is there, not degenerating into narcissism, but being aware of what is our role, what is our duty, and how committedly we will be delivering that duty, that would help us rediscover ourselves and also re-establish ourselves, rather assert ourselves in the Committee of Nations. And we, as Indians, will enter into that phase, say by 2027, as it is being now visualized, we will be that Viksit Bharat, that developed India, Samarth India, Saksham India, and that able, prosperous India of all very different that visionary kind. That is where perhaps you are striking, trying to drive the whole discourse towards. I am very grateful to you for bringing us all these points in such a very illuminating way. So thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Manoj,
Here again.
Dr. Manoj, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, my question is related to the democratic system. So somehow we heard that the India is known as the mother of democracy. Somehow we are claiming that the United Britain is the mother of democracy, but somehow our Prime Minister is claimed that India is the mother of democracy. Sir, my question is, sir, is we have any some literature, ancient literature text where we have reference like this, that the India is known as the mother of democracy, sir? Sir, and my
I'm not sure about it. Maybe somebody else will, those who are listening, somebody else may be able to supplement. I'm not sure about that. Basically, my opinion is that, see, here comes the question of epistemology. See, the term democracy is a recent one. We have our own Dharma Shastras. We have our own system of managing the people. And we need not feel that even if the term democracy is not used, we need not feel that we do not have that particular justifiable social system in force in India. So therefore, these comparisons are irrelevant in a sense. Why should we claim that we are the mother of democracy and all that? I think those claims, the tendency to claim things and the tendency to blame ourselves should go. And it is time that we seriously research on the application of IKS in improving the quality of life. And what India was at fault all these centuries is that we have not marketed ourselves. We have not been attending to produce, for example. We had the knowledge, but the productions, most of the productions in the 20th century, 19th century, the products came from the West. We have been neglecting production. We have been neglecting to market our knowledge. So it is time that let's do that and let's not claim anything. That's what I feel personally.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
श्रीधर जी, आप कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Sir, I wanted to again touch upon the culture-centric pedagogy, which you were referring to. See, for example, Japan was able to manage that in spite of English influence. They were able, because it's a single language culture. But in a multilingual situation like in India, how can we really manage that?
Basically, the notion that the different languages and the people who are speaking the different languages have a different or diverse perspective. This is a wrong notion. This is basically a fundamentally a wrong notion. All people in all Bharatiya languages, they have the same ethos, they have the same perspective, same attitude to elders. Respect for elders is, for example,
Yes.
an ethos. So this
Yes.
is there in the vocabulary of all
Common.
Indian Bharatiya languages. All
Correct.
Bharatiya. You call bhai, chechi, cheta in Malayalam.
Yes.
So culture is embedded in the linguistic formations of all Bharatiya languages. So there are more similarities than dissimilarities. So the problem is we are not attending to the similarities. We have been trying to see what all diversities are there among ourselves.
Exactly. Got it, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Any more questions? If not so.
Yes, madam. Shall I, madam?
Sorry?
Shall I, madam? Shall I ask one question?
Yes, sir. Please.
Good evening, sir. This is Dr. Raju from Hyderabad, sir. Sir, I have one doubt as well as it is problem to the Gurukul system, all the Gurukula system. The students are learning of the modern subjects, but when our modern schools are learning the minimum basic Indian knowledge system. And another question is, where and when our teachers, our modern teachers are getting the training by the concerned, trainers like you, sir? Is it possible? If it is possible, how it is impact on the students as well as the society? From the parent side, another question: is it possible to convince the parents of today's modern era? Because in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, the parents are thinking about only engineering as well as medicine. That's it. So kindly give the suggestion.
Will you repeat the core point of what you asked, please?
Sir, nowadays all the modern, I'm researching on Gurukul system of education, sir. During my PhD, I went to many Gurukulas. All the Gurukulas are learning the technology as well as the modern subjects.
Yes.
But whereas in the modern education system, we are not learning anything. Even that for modern subjects also, they are not learning. If we will join our children to one international school or government school, they definitely go to the tuition in the evening. This is the situation right now. Whereas the Gurukul students, they have sufficient time. They are using the technology. They are learning you are telling about 64 colors. Apart from that 64 colors, they are learning more and more. And they have the bondage with the teachers as well as the core students. There is no lingual caste biases. Whereas we can see a number of disturbances in modern education. How we will solve this is one question. As a teacher, we don't have any training, even we don't have any awareness on Indian knowledge system, whether it is Vedic education or even folklore. We don't understand the folklore, then folk knowledge. How we can train the modern education teachers, how we convince the parents to understand the Indian knowledge system and to study the Indian knowledge system in the modern education system. Please reflect on this.
Yeah. Both the concerns are serious concerns which we all of us are facing. And actually, seminars like this is actually a platform where we sit together and find an answer to this. There is no easy answer to these questions that we are facing. But Government of India in 2024 started a division of Indian knowledge systems You can go to their website. IKS division is there. So from 2024 onwards, they are working on IKS propagation, and centers of IKS are promoted in universities and colleges. They give 40 lakhs rupees for a project for 3 years. For in Kerala, for example, there is at NIT Calicut, there is a center of IKS. And in IIT Kharagpur, there is a center for IKS. IIT Kharagpur, they had an FDP just like this for 21 days, which was very excellent one. IIT Kharagpur is doing wonderful work there, and Chinmaya Vishwavidyalaya is also doing a lot of work on this, convincing parents about the role of IKS.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Teacher, let us wind up the session.
Thank you, sir. And may I now welcome Dr. Rashmiya from the PG Department of Biology for the vote of thanks.
Hello.
Teacher, please.
Yes, teacher, you are audible.
Okay. Respected dignitaries, esteemed guests, organizing committee members, and participants. Good evening to all. I deem it a great honor and privilege to have the opportunity to present a vote of thanks on this auspicious occasion. First and foremost, I take this opportunity to thank our respected resource person, Dr. K Unnikrishnan, sir, for such an insightful and thought-provoking presentation. Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful session. I would like to thank all the organizers of this FDP, Bharat Vidya Prayojana Division of IGNCA, NSS College Pandalam, and Chinmaya Vishwavidya for organizing such inspiring and most relevant session. I extend my gratitude to the principal, Professor Dr. Sanakumar sir, IQSC coordinator, conveners and members of HRDC, and the technical coordinators of our college for their support throughout the FDP. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants. Without your contribution, this program might not have been possible. Thank you for such a generous contribution. Before I conclude, I once again extend my heartfelt gratitude to one and all. Thank you.